Do we want to hit topic number two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get topic number two. Um, Tyrese Proctor Ewing theory. I teased this to y'all in a text, but we're looking at a Duke team that's won three in a row now, including a resounding victory in MSG over Baylor. Now, part of this, I admit, is me stoking the fire, the flames of rivalry as a Duke hater, a UNC fan. But I am really curious, like, if you were John Shire, how do you work Tyrese Proctor back into this rotation? Because Shire's been hinting that he's close to playing, but in Proctor's absence, the offense has figured some things out. They're playing through Filipowski a lot more, letting him play make. I know he had a near triple double against Hofstra. Caleb Foster and Jared McCain have both been playing a lot better recently, especially McCain, who went nuts against Baylor. Like, what if there's a world where, like, Proctor's the third or the fourth best guard on this team? What do you do to work him back into this rotation?
You mind if I go first, Greg?
I would love for you to go first. I gave some of my thoughts on this on the recap with Brian last night, so you can lead.
I mean, it's to me, I believe in John Shire as a coach to have the ability to do this because last season, I thought he did a great job with adjustments and just throughout the season making adjustments with that Duke team to have them rolling towards the end of the season outside of kind of flaming out the tournament, I think earlier than other people anticipated them to. So just on the surface level, I have faith that Shire can do it and work him in. But I'm staying strong and put with what I've been saying all season that Tyrese Proctor is the fourth best guard on this team. I just think he is. If I was John Shire, I would go in my coach's yellow book page, like the coach's directory, which I feel like all of them have. I would get in contact with Greg Gard and I'd ask him what he did with Connor Essegian, and I would do the Australian version of that with Tyrese Proctor.
I mean, that's a little harsh.
It is, but I'm a harsh type of guy.
Proctor's been better than that, though, right? Like, I
Yeah,
want to do this too, Card. I do, but like,
can we like put him in the Ethan Morton role?
that's like, I really want to do this with you, but we have to like be a little bit honest about how we're doing it. Like, even in Proctor's bad nights, like he has like 7 assist nights.
Right. So that's what makes Duke so good. Like Proctor is their fourth best guard. Play him, feature him like the fourth best guard.
But here is
Or third or fourth. I think that Roach should be the guy.
I do too, but isn't the problem this? Like, why it's clunky is that the best case version of all of these guys individually for Roach is scoring, for McCain is scoring, for Foster is scoring. For Proctor, it's passing. In theory, Proctor should be making all these other guys better.
Roach can low key really pass though.
I know. I just like, isn't that the problem? It's almost like Proctor needs to be ball dominant for it to work because he needs to create for others, right? That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
But I
I
think
don't know.
like Foster and Roach both need the ball in their hands. I
The issue
think
is Proctor didn't leave and just go get drafted lottery when he could have.
yeah, he would have been a first rounder last year.
That's the real issue.
He's still gonna be a first rounder, right? I don't think it's like his stock that's gonna
I,
die
I,
here.
I think he'll be a first rounder, but like you don't think Shire and Duke were like, I mean, we're not getting a surefire. He probably would have went lottery, to be honest with you, or close to lottery last year. Some probably having some good workouts too,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't go.
Is he getting picked over Jet Howard?
Yeah, I actually think
Yeah, I think he would have too.
yeah,
I don't think so.
I think they would. They see a 6'5" PG that like just started playing PG, young, has the length, has everything. Like they
He
see a
not
future passer can check actually.
he
Like
not getting in workouts and shooting it like Jet did. Like, what's his NBA ready skill? You tell me he's getting in a scrimmage workout and looking better than he does at Duke right now?
that he's got a passport. I don't know.
Like, I don't know.
I think in a workout he probably could have convinced some people like that he was a elite passer, and he's had some really good
throwing it to
flashes,
chairs?
playmaking.
Bro, Khalil Ware was top 10 on Gavoni's board before the season stopped just because he
That's
could
for
post
this
up
year.
chairs.
Weak draft. That's why he's still going to get drafted. There was no harm because this draft
Mhm.
stinks, right? Like Proctor still is like a top 11 pick, and he's barely even playing right now.
Top 11 still seems like a lot. Like I don't know. I personally, in my mind, I just knock him because I expected him to be an undisputed top 10 player in the sport, and here we are talking about him not even being one of the five best players on his own team.
Can I ask you this? Did you actually see things last season that made you think this? Or did you just kind of buy into the collective hype speak of the offseason of like, oh, he's going to take the job? Like, you watched him more than anybody I know, truly.
Yeah.
You saw him in person.
That
What did you see?
that was why I thought he was going to be that guy. Like I thought I was going to be the only one being like, no, this dude might be an All-American. And then everybody at the Almanac wanted to vote him a top 5 player, and same with like Brian, Ralph, and Connor were talking about him as a top 5 player within my heat check circles. And I was like, wow, this is nowhere near as original as I thought it would be. Because again, it seemed like he could get to whatever spot he wanted to on the court. He was a good defender. Granted, I think that whole Duke team looked a lot better defensively with Lively there and like a 7'10" wingspan cleaning everything up. But yeah, and then the pick and roll playmaking flashes, like some of the live dribble passes he would nail, were pretty special, especially for a reclass guard.
Okay. In those games, though, like, has there ever been a game that Tyrese Proctor's been the best player on the floor?
I want to say he had some games in ACC tournament where he was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think against Miami, he probably.
Yeah, that's the one I remember in my head. There was one ACC tournament game where I actually saw it. I was like, oh, this guy can kind of go.
Okay. Like, I remember the flashes. I don't, maybe I missed the game truly, because I never came away from a game being like, yeah, that was Tyrese Proctor's game. I thought he was just like one of these promising dudes.
He had a really good stretch in that Tennessee game and then went cold down like the last 5 minutes or so. Like he had 16 points that game. And he was hitting some really timely shots that just kept them in it when your boy Olivier Kamwa was giving them buckets and putting on the clamps on the other end.
Killer.
Love Olivier Kamwa for that. But
so just to be clear, so Tyrese Proctor was the best player in a game that Duke lost by double digits that Olivier Kamwa dominated, and that's
Olivier Kamwa was definitely the best player in that game. But Tyrese Proctor was nice for like
should have seen
30 minutes.
A little bit of a red flag there. Okay, so my honest thing back to your question of like what should they do? How should they play this? I do think that they could bring him back off the bench, and I know that sounds like bring the detonator out and people are going to freak out at that. I don't think it's nearly as crazy as it sounds. I think like if he's not 100%, I think you could still play him and work him back. And even if he is 100%, you could lie to people and tell them that it's because he's not 100% and he's slowly working back. I think you owe it to guys like Jared McCain and guys like Jeremy Roach, who have looked fantastic in this stretch without him, to just keep the momentum rolling. Like, we're talking about that with your team right now. Like, even if you wanted to make drastic changes to the rotation, you shouldn't do it in the middle of Michigan State looking really good. I feel the same about Duke right now. Like, I think this team has looked significantly better in the 3 games that they've played fully without Tyrese Proctor than when they were trying to make it all work with him. And look, he's obviously a good player. He might be their second most talented player. I don't think there's an argument he's more talented than Flip at all as far as like a college basketball player goes. Prospect wise, sure, you can make that argument. But to me, like, even the games that he was good earlier this season when he's been good, it's almost like the ball stops while he's waiting to make a play for someone else. Like, their offense has less flow to it, and it's less natural movement, and it's less the ball finding the right guy, and it's more Tyrese Proctor is going to take 10 seconds to get himself ready to go create a shot for someone else at the end of the shot clock, which is clunkier than just playing naturally through Jeremy Roach or these other guys. So I do think like he has to find it. He has to be a part of this team for them to be national championship good. Tyrese Proctor has to be a heavy, heavy, heavy portion of that. Which is why, for me, you work him back in slowly. You see if the minutes that he comes in, if he plays 15, 20 minutes off the bench in his first game back, what does he look like in those minutes? Is the team better with him when he's off the floor versus when he's on it? And John Shire is smart enough to evaluate that as he goes. But if I were him, I would owe it to the guys that have been playing really well to let them keep doing that first.
I like agree completely with that. I thought that's very well worded as far as like how he gets his assists. Cause I know I mentioned it was those playmaking flashes that really had me buying into the hype in the offseason. But like, I've seen him in person at the Arizona game, watched most of Duke's big games. Like even the games where he would have the big assist numbers, like you said, it didn't feel like it was this free flowing gorgeous ball movement type of offense. If I don't want to call them cheap assists, but it felt a little bit like that. Whereas you see what was their assist rate was something crazy there other night against Baylor, where the ball is popping and has energy. If we're going to turn to some coach speak, That's one of my favorite coach speak isms these days. Like coaches love saying the ball had energy.
The ball is really popping around the floor tonight.
But it's true. Like Duke's offense is like noticeably better with when the ball has energy with in this current iteration of it.
Ball has energy. All
And the
right.
last thing,
So we can
oh,
pencil in Tyrese for 15 minutes a night. Deal.
Final
well,
question. Final question on this. I'm gonna force you to answer the tough question. Is this team actually better without Tyrese Proctor? Yes or no, Carter?
Is this team better with or without Tyrese Proctor?
That's another way to twist the question, but yeah, that's the question.
This team is better with Tyrese Proctor on the roster.
Is it better with him in a starring role?
No.
Riley, same two questions.
I think they're definitely a better team with Tyrese Proctor in the rotation. I don't
Yeah.
think he has to be a starter.
Okay. That feels like we're taking the easy way out, boys. Like
What?
that feels like we're just like, oh, yeah, of course he's that important. But yeah, maybe he's not. Like
You're trying to take. I mean, that's an obvious question. Yes, this team is better with him on the roster. That's.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
guess like the
you
same
don't
way that
think?
Michigan is worse without Jet Howard off the roster. Like we did this dance all last season. Of course, Michigan's worse without a top 15 pick on it. At the same time, centering your team around that player killed them. Like I think there's a lot of comparisons here. And Proctor's better defensively, and Proctor's arguably better offensively than Jet was. But I'll go there if you guys won't. I think this team is worse with Tyrese Proctor. And the more time they spend trying to center things around Tyrese Proctor and getting him right is more time wasted towards what could be a really good season without him.
In that case, I hope they keep toying with it until like February 10th. Just let me get that win over Duke in the Dean Dome and then realize that you don't need to be playing through Tyrese Proctor.
There we go. We'll see what
That's
happens.
all I'm
All
gonna
right.
say.